Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone.
Welcome back to the channel. Let's watch celebrities boldly call out the entertainment industry's absolute double standards. Starting us off, when Disney tries to cancel you for loving America, you don't back down, you fight back.
But I'm doing this for America. I'm doing this because this election is so important. It's so valuable. I didn't actually start voting until I was 2020, until 2020, and I realized that, my gosh, there was such a prejudice here. I was voting for who I thought was the best candidate, and that was Donald Trump, and that still is Donald Trump. Targeted, discriminated against, shamed and fired from one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world. They fired me at the height of my career, and I went out to, I know, Disney. They deserve that. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have been paying attention to my story. I appreciate that. I mean, they've gone out of the way to make an example out of me, but I think by the grace of God, helping me make an example out of them.
In Hollywood, you're strictly ordered to speak your truth, unless of course your truth includes voting for Donald Trump. Gina committed the ultimate showbiz sin. She remembered 50% of the country exists and actually loves America. And to make matters worse, turns out a single social media post is all it takes to trigger a multi-billion-dollar meltdown.
What tweet was it, or what did you say that got you fired?
I think the final straw was the Holocaust tweet. And when I had posted it on my, you remember Twitter used to have or X used to have the fleet section, which is like the Instagram version of the stories. Well, I'd put it up there and I put it in my, and I was just kind of like.
She posted a warning about mob mentality, and the left-wing crowd immediately proved her right by canceling her. Meanwhile, her co-stars made actual Nazi analogies about Republicans and kept their jobs. Classic corporate logic, right? Speaking of corporate madness, Hollywood's new mandatory diversity quotas just got the most brutally honest review imaginable from an Oscar winner.
Starting in 2024, films will be required to meet new inclusion standards to be eligible for the Academy Awards for Best Picture. They'll have to have a certain percentage of actors or crew from underrepresented racial and ethnic groups. What do you think of these new inclusion standards?
They make me vomit. This is an art form. No one should be telling me that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? And I'm sorry, I don't think that there's a minority or a majority in the country that has to be catered to like that. Are we crazy? Do we not know that art is art?
Leave it to an absolute legend to say what everyone else is whispering. Hollywood wants to trade artistic freedom for a mandatory HR checklist, and Richard Dreyfuss gave them the exact nauseating review they deserved. But it's not just the old guard. It's a rare day when a current A-lister tells the limousine liberals exactly why half the country can't stand them.
Celebrities and a lot of people in my industry are mostly lean to the left. Sure. Many of them lean further into what I would call an illiberal left. A lot of us are guilty of the same thing we're talking about from the other side, a default opening invalidation of the other side. We cannot lead, my industry cannot lead with, well, all hierarchies are tyrannical, period. No, that's not a default fact. We can't lead with, well, if you don't believe in abortion, then you're anti-woman. We can't lead with that. We can't lead with, well, the word means more and is more important than your intent. We can't lead with that. So we have to watch, my industry has to watch its tongue out of the gate, because it's coming from a left, and at least 50% stereotypically of the country is going, oh, you're left.
In the elite bubble, nuanced debate is dead. You either agree with their agenda completely, or you're instantly labeled a villain. Matthew is just gently reminding his peers that condescension isn't a substitute for actual leadership. The delusion runs so deep that the establishment can't comprehend why everyday people prefer a loud wrecking ball over a polished puppet.
Any liberal will tell you that, well, the reason we're going to vote for Kamala Harris or Keir Starmer or whatever is because we know they're not perfect. In fact, we know they're not really any good. They're owned by the donor class, they're owned by corporations, but they're so much better than those racists, ad name here. I started to feel sort of like, well, actually, even if Donald Trump's not perfect, in his kind of own wrecking ball, upfront, outspoken, instinctual way, he's better. Whatever that guy is and whatever he isn't, I was thinking as I was sort of learning more and more about him, they don't like him. And I'm starting to have more doubts about them than him, even coming from a sort of a, you know, like culturally.
Left-wing voters are forced to convince themselves that corporate-owned puppets are somehow better just because they use polite language. Russell exposes the trap. They'd rather support a broken system than an authentic outsider who breaks the mold. In fact, if you want to know what it's like to walk into an elite room where everyone is forced to lie to themselves, just listen to an insider.
Renee Good was murdered in our streets of America today, and I don't know if I can pretend like this crazy stuff isn't happening.
Mark Ruffalo at the Golden Globes. I don't really want to be here because it's so bad what's happened in Minnesota. Don't go. The whole thing's it's why are you there? What you should say is, oh my God, I wish I was a person that didn't care about the Golden Globes, because in my heart of hearts, I know it's total Ricky Gervais killed the Golden Globes forever.
Get your agent and your God and
That is why it's so satisfying to watch Ricky Gervais, working class man from Reading, do that, because you know that was a terminal shot. It's like, oh, it's like beautiful. You're like, he's bringing it out, because he's just telling the truth in such a amazing. So anyone that subsequently goes to the Golden Globe expects to get anything from it, they've got to lie to themselves to get across the door. And I know, because I went and I wanted to host it, and I went to the Oscars and I did all those things, and guess what I felt? Gloomy, heavy, dark.
While activists like Mark Ruffalo beg for elite approval, outsiders crave actual truth. To survive an elite Hollywood gala, you literally have to check your soul at the door and pretend these out-of-touch narcissists actually matter. That brings us right to the elite's favorite habit, banning your carbon footprint while showing off a photo collage of their own private planes.
All the environmentalists of Hollywood and Washington do it. Their position on climate change is, we must do more to stop pouring carbon into the air, except for me when I want to go somewhere and then I take a private jet. Every other person who calls themselves an environmentalist who can. Now enjoy this fun photo collage of some of your favorite stars and politicians who speak about the need to reduce our carbon footprint, but who are always on private planes. That's right, all of them. If you don't see a celebrity's picture here, it's because we weren't allowed to use it. Or their series got canceled. Turns out there is one thing in this world that is completely impossible to resist, and this is it. It's like heroin. If you do it once, you'll never stop. There are two kinds of people in the world, those who fly private and those who would if they could.
Climate change is a planetary emergency that requires massive sacrifices, specifically from you and your small sedan. Bill Maher perfectly exposes the elite's favorite loophole: saving the Earth is mandatory unless you have a private jet to catch. Naturally, the media loves a witch hunt, but when a reporter tried to bait this actress into attacking J.K. Rowling, she responded with actual common sense.
I saw your voicing Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter audiobooks. I was wondering, are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, given J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. You know, I think we're all living in a period of time right now. We're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions. So I hope that we can all find respect.
The mainstream media is completely obsessed with forcing everyone into mandatory ideological warfare. When Kira suggested that adults could actually hold differing opinions and still respect each other, activists probably had a total meltdown. It just proves the political landscape is so warped that a classic liberal becomes a right-wing hero just by pointing out reality.
Let's get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media. But that can't happen in this ridiculous new era of mind-numbing partisanship, where if I keep it real about the nonsense in the Democratic Party, it makes me an instant hero to Republicans. The same thing happened in reverse to Darth Vader's daughter, Liz Cheney, who is now a hero to liberals simply because she recognizes Biden did not steal the last election. What a sad commentary on our politics, where simply acknowledging reality is now seen as a profile in courage. People sometimes say to me, you didn't used to make fun of the left as much. Yeah, because they didn't give me so much to work with. The oath of office I took was to comedy.
The left has shifted so far into orbit that pointing out basic biological and cultural realities makes a classic old-school liberal look like a right-wing radical. Maher didn't change sides. The institutional left just left sanity behind. And that's the kicker, because the self-proclaimed kind and inclusive brigade has officially become the exact brand of fascists they claim to hate.
The woke brigade are the least tolerant, least inclusive, and least kind people.
I want you to define for our audience what you say woke is, because as you know, there are plenty of people who say woke means being tolerant and being inclusive and being kind.
I mean, that is laughable in
Why?
itself. Well, because
Why?
the woke brigade are the least tolerant, least inclusive, and least kind people.
But that is a mass generalisation, isn't it?
No, it's not actually.
Go on.
No, my whole premise of my book is I'm a liberal. I have nothing in common with the way the woke left has behaved in the last few years. The great irony is they became the very kind of fascists that they profess to hate most. They became the scolders, the shamers, the cancellers, in some extreme cases, as with the Charlie Kirk, the people for their speech. That's not liberalism. It's the antithesis of liberalism. There will be a time, probably not too distant future, when the world will look back on this period and say, let me get this absolutely straight. There was a body of opinion which couldn't be contested on pain of cancellation that you could allow biological men to compete in women's sport, for example. And people will think we'd lost our minds. And yet the idea that even liberals like me, who put our head over the parapet and said, this is obviously ridiculous, and it's not transphobic. I want trans people to have the same rights to fairness, safety and equality that I have, as I'm sure J.K. Rowling did and others. But we were trying to defend and protect women's rights, which have been fought so hard for 100 years. And the idea that that was just not only put out there as an ideology, but if you tried to confront it or contest it, you yourself got destroyed. It's ridiculous. So this idea that any part of that, of the reaction to people that raise legitimate concerns, without a transphobic bone in my body, by the way, I totally recognise trans people. The idea that for doing that, you would be treated in the way that people like me were treated, I think is indicative of a group of people who were not kind, they weren't inclusive, they had no intention of being any of those. It was their way or the highway.
We have officially reached a point in human history where stating that biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports is treated like a literal hate crime. The left is completely erasing a century of hard-won women's rights, all in the name of progress. Believe it or not, over a decade ago, this comedy icon warned us about the creeping cancellation of free speech.
The second most precious thing in life is the right to express yourself freely. That is because I have enjoyed free expression in this country all my professional life and fully expect to continue to do so. My concerns are less for myself and more for those more vulnerable because of their lower profile. Like the man arrested in Oxford for calling a police horse gay, or the cafe owner arrested for displaying passages from the Bible on a TV screen. The only reason these cases were dropped was because of the publicity that they had attracted. But what about the thousands of other cases that did not enjoy the oxygen of publicity? For me, the best way to increase society's resistance to insulting or offensive speech is to allow a lot more of it. Our priority should be to deal with the message, not the messenger.
When the silent king of physical comedy has to step up to the podium to explain basic human rights, you know the world has officially lost its script. Even Mr. Bean scene can see that the modern speech police have gone completely off the rails. Fast forward to today, and when a mainstream reporter tried to drop a standard left-wing lecture at a press conference, this fighter delivered a verbal knockout.
Are you Canadian?
Of course I am.
Did you vote for Trudeau?
I'm not gonna say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not gonna say, like if you ask him, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not gonna say. That's none of your business. He voted for fucking Biden.
He said if I had a gay son, I would think that's.
Let me ask you something. Are you gay? Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. The fact that you have no fucking backbone. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental fucking illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of you. I don't want my kids being taught about, who they could in school. I don't want my kids being taught about their sexual preference. You want to look at the enemy to our world? It's that right there. You ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself. Move the fuck on, man.
Sending a fragile mainstream journalist to interview Sean Strickland is like bringing a plastic fork to a knife fight. He doesn't do corporate public relations, and he certainly doesn't care about your preferred ideological theories. Of course, sometimes the absolute best way to expose the sheer absurdity of modern identity politics is to apply its logic to literally anything else.
This idea that a person can be born in the wrong body, but they have to admit that a hilarious predicament. It's really funny. If it happened to me, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be funny if it happened to me? I think it would be. What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this body? That's not funny. And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey everybody, I'm Chinese! And everyone get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside.
The moment you take the born in the wrong body logic to its logical conclusion, it instantly looks like an offensive comedy sketch. It turns out that weaponized empathy doesn't hold up very well when mixed with basic geography. Finally, leave it to a master of the stage to completely dismantle a woke narrative using nothing more than a flawless Hollywood analogy.
I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Dave Chappelle is getting canceled for this joke. Let's watch together. All right, so let's check out Dave Chappelle and his joke that's causing people to say his job should be lost, his career should be done, and all this other stuff.
And I had to pretend this Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
While mainstream comics treat identity politics like a field of landmines, Chappelle walks right through it with a sledgehammer. He completely exposes the core awkwardness of the entire cultural debate by reducing it to a hilarious, high-profile case of Hollywood make-believe. And that brings us to the end of 15 times reality fought back. Which of these moments do you think exposed the hypocrisy best? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one.